Hello everyone, and welcome to day 13 of my 2020 challenge to try and raise some much needed funds for MDS UK, the magnificent patient support group that supports people like me with my rare blood cancer. It's a very small but mighty charity and serves the whole country, so it's a nationwide charity. And it does this on very few workers, in fact only 2 full-time workers, the others being part-time, and a lot of volunteers. So if you can, please do make a donation to this magnificent cause that really does make a difference to the lives of those and that are affected by this rare cancer, not just the patients themselves, but it's a support to also the families and carers and friends, and does an amazing job. So well done all of you at MDS UK. My song today is dedicated to someone who I very fondly called my chosen mum. And you know, your family is your family and you can't do anything about that. And that means a chosen family is special because you've chosen that relationship, and that's why I came up with that idea. And Marlene was this very elegant and tall Australian woman. This is a picture of me and Marlene, and that picture was taken in a restaurant, one of those towers that goes around in Sydney. So we had a meal and looked at the sights of Sydney, because she was Australian by birth but spent half her life in England and half her life in Australia. And she came across me when I was a little street urchin, and her biological children were the same age as me, and she couldn't believe that I had already left home. She was just, it was beyond her, what, you know, she'd never come across anything like that before. And so I kind of intrigued her in many respects initially, and I invited her around for dinner. And I lived in a 1-bedroom council flat in Plumstead at the time. And I thought I'd better do something nice and upmarket for her, because she's a bit posh. And because I was a street urchin, my version of posh was very different. So at the time, microwaves were only just beginning to make a show. So I got boil-in-the-bag fish with vegetables, and managed to cook some potatoes, because I'm not really a cook. I mean, I've only got a kitchen because it comes with a house, really. So I thought, you know, this was really upmarket, doing this, making this effort for this, you know, impressive woman. But, and she didn't say anything, and she must have thought, oh my days. But she took me under her wing. She decided that as much as I was incredibly streetwise, there were also a few things that I could do with some support about. And she really taught me how to trust again, because I'd been so hurt at that point. And she helped me to give and receive love. And everyone used to assume that she was my mum, because we had that sort of closeness of relationship. And it was just, it was a wonderful relationship for many, many, many years. But sadly, I told you that when I was in Mallorca, I got taken very ill and ended up in intensive care and nearly died. And when I got home from that, a little while after that, I received the very sad news that Marlene had also developed cancer, and it was a brain tumour. And she had to have immediate surgery. Now, I wasn't well enough to travel to Australia at that point, because she'd gone back there and in her retirement. But we were in contact every day on the mobile, sending texts, and I could phone her and emails and etc. once she got home. But then we got the bad news that treatment wasn't going to be an option, and that it was terminal, and she had they couldn't tell because brain is very difficult to judge, but 2 weeks to maybe 6 months. In fact, she lasted about 2 months. And of course I couldn't go out to the funeral either. And that's been hard, because she was so special. One day I'll get out there and I'll be able to pay my last respects to her. But Marlene was incredibly proud of me and the person that I turned into. She helped me reach my potential. She was constantly encouraging me and pushing me to be the best I could. So when I started my vicar course, and as you can see, I thought I'd put it on to honour Marlene today, and I was, as I told you, I was really worried about the academic side of things, and Marlene had a PhD. She was Dr. Hicking, and what would happen is I would write my essays, and I'd sit there. I'd go to her place in Oxford and write these essays, and sit there with all my books and everything, and with my CD on, blasting at me, and then she would read what I'd written and make comments, and then I'd see if it needed changing or anything. And when she read, I had to keep quiet, the CD had to go off. We were so different, she couldn't cope with a lot of noise when she had to do something that required her to think, whereas I needed noise in order to think. But yeah, she was really proud of who I was. She was a bit worried that I would lose my, I suppose, my natural street urchin person. She didn't want me to start to have airs and graces. Well, that's never going to happen. But she'd seen lots of people who that had happened to over the years, and she didn't want that for me. But I'm lucky, I've got people all around me to keep my feet on the ground. And if people put you on a pedestal, then what you need to do is keep getting off it and put yourself back down again. So yeah, it's always good to have these special people in your life, isn't it? And to honour them. And so she also loved music. Her son is a brilliant composer, and she was a singer too. So she used to like the fact that I could sing some of the nice stuff, if you like. And someone asked me the other day when I did this before what I was singing in. The language that I was singing in is Latin, and I'm going to do a Latin piece tonight. And it's Pie Jesu, and it's from the Requiem. And of course, Requiem is what you sing when someone has died. So today's song is the Pie Jesu from one of the Requiems in order to honour Marlene. Pie Jesu, Pie Jesu, Pie Jesu, Pie Jesu, qui tollis peccata mundi dona eis requiem, dona Thank you, everyone. And God bless Marlene. Still love you, miss you, even though it's 5 years today. You're always in my heart. And like Banksy, the graffiti artist, says, you die twice. The first time is when you physically die, and the second time is when someone says your name for the last time. And in that respect, you'll go on for a long time, thinking about all of you and holding you in the light who also need to remember a loved one. God bless.